what is equivalent to 100 billions of Hiroshima bombs happening at least 10 times per year, and sometimes several times a week. Well, that's solar flares, and this is what I am studying at the moment. And what is crucial to study them is because those blasts of big clouds of plasma material from the sun are ejected in space, and they can hit Earth, they can hit satellites, astronauts, and even us when we're traveling in planes. So what my role is to do computer simulations with images of the sun, as you can see here, as well as in situ data. So we have satellites that are probing into those clouds. And I am combining all those data in order to understand the three-dimensional physics, as you can see here, of all those eruptions. Thank you very much.
You'll remember someone falling asleep over a book in a library. I am here to tell you why it is important to take a nap to recap. Sleep is important for memory consolidation, but so many things happen to us on a daily basis that all cannot be remembered. What I found is that sleeping helps you remember important things better, like those that are rewarded. And this is crucial for educational strategies, as rewarding the student for having done his work well would allow him to get better grades at his exam. Thank you.
Your children will only see half the amount of species that you have seen during your lifetime. And climate change is adding more pressure to those threatened species, especially those that can't move. For example, the kakapo, he can't fly away and move with a changing climate. So I want to understand how small populations of these threatened species can adapt to those changes in the environment. I want to understand whether they have enough genetic basis and enough flexibility to change within the environment in which they live. I want your children to see the threatened species of the future.
Hi, my name is Laura, and today I want to briefly introduce you to how risk affects the livelihoods of farming communities in India. Above are featured a handful of 500 farmers that I recently interviewed in an experiment in Gujarat, and I study how the close nature of these communities and communication amongst neighbors, friends, and families affects their demand for insurance, and also, once they're insured, whether or not they're more willing to take risks in other aspects of their lives. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pedro. I'm working on trying to develop new antibiotics. In fact, for the past quarter of a century, there has not been a new class of antibiotic that's been discovered. So what we're doing right now is trying to look particularly within the cell and trying to figure out what makes it so that you're able to target a particular parasite within a zone of the cell. So in doing that and using bioinformatics and computational biology, we're coming up with new ways, clever ways of addressing that problem, and we've actually identified some new compounds that might prove useful for these up-and-coming pandemics. Thank you.
We all have to age, and that's a fact. And in our lab, we use the skin as a model to study aging, because skin is our protection against external aggressions. But every wall needs repairing, even the safest and the highest wall, like the Great Wall in China. And this is where the stem cells take place. They repair for the holes in the wall, so they would be the bricks that would fill in these holes, so we are still protected from the outside. But when we age, these stem cells lose their potential, meaning that they don't repair the wall as efficiently as they used to. So if we understand why these stem cells don't work as efficiently, we might understand why our tissues age with our physiological aging, and this will help us achieve an ever-aging society with a healthier situation, and this will hopefully generate a sustainable society in the future.
Climate change. Too often we think of climate change as being global warming and the loss of polar bear habitat. But I'm here to tell you, forget about the polar bear. Climate change will affect you, and not just with hotter summers, but with colder winters and more severe wet and dry seasons. And to understand this, the key is in carbon. Thank you.
So I think we're all very familiar with this image of pollution from Paris or from many other large cities. And my research is focused on trying to understand the chemical and physical properties of the particles that make up this pollution. And this is very important because we need to understand the impacts of these aerosol particles on our health and also how they impact the climate. And once we can understand these impacts, we can start to develop strategies to predict and control their influence and impact in the future.
Like 1 in every 4 Europeans, your child might have allergy. And did you know that actually mothers-to-be, what they eat and what they breathe can actually affect the sensitivity of your child to develop some kind of allergy later in life? As you can see here. And I'm actually going to study the underlying mechanisms like DNA methylation and see how these exposures can affect allergy in your children later in life.
My research topic is trying to understand your choice in the lunch buffet that we'll probably have in a few minutes. So basically, according to the economic theory, you're going to choose the tomato over the mousse because you like tomato better. But what I'm interested in is when you pick the roll or the toast that you like equally, how your choice is going to affect your preferences later on. And this is a theory called cognitive dissonance. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marc Oliva, and I'm a researcher at the University of Lisbon. And I'm a paleoclimate scientist. That is, that I'm working with the climate of the past, not of the present. So I'm working in Antarctica. Antarctica is the continent of the ice and the penguins, but it's also the continent of a large number of uncertainties. One of these uncertainties is the environment, and especially the climate. We don't really know what's happening with the climate. During the last decades, the climate in the Western Antarctica has been warming at the highest rate in Earth, but in Eastern Antarctica, it's been stable or showing a slight cooling. So what we do, or what my colleagues do, I was holding here the AXA flag, my colleagues were collecting some sediments from the bottom of the lakes, and the idea is that by studying these sediments, the properties of these sediments, we'll be able to understand the past climate conditions in these ice-free areas in Antarctica. And that is important because we need to know if what's happening now, these recent climate trends, are natural or are also caused by human activities.
Do you think that in our egocentric society we are still able to understand others' feelings? I think so. Because if you look at this image, you can feel an uncomfortable sensation. So I'm Giulia Bucchioni and I study empathy for pain at the University of Picardie Jules Verne, thanks to an AXA research grant.
The world life expectancy has more than doubled over the past 2 centuries, from roughly about 25 years of age to 65 years of age for men and 70 for women. But living a long life does not necessarily mean a healthy one. So what I'm trying to do in this project is to come up with a new definition, a healthy longevity phenotype, what it means to age healthily. And so after defining a healthy longevity phenotype, I'm trying to come up with risk prediction models that can predict the healthy longevity trajectory based on the factors that are mostly associated with it. Thank you.